Hey guys, and welcome on into the Stanley Cup Playoff Preview Show. I'm Terry Edelmann, joined by Carmine, Bianco, and Andrew McInnis to break down the first round series here. This is the best time of the year. I'm sure you guys can both agree with me. I'm so excited for the playoffs. I'm so excited. But before we get to this series, for people that haven't seen us all before, I thought we'd do a quick introduction. For those that haven't seen me before, I'm, of course, expert handicapper at Picks Parlays. Now, of course, part of the WagerTalk family. And my main sports are hockey, baseball, and football. So CFL and NFL are my main two football leagues. So hockey is my number one sport, and I'm really excited to get into these breakdowns. Carm, for those that haven't seen you before, maybe give a brief introduction and let people know about you.
Yeah, I've been with WagerTalk since its inception back in 2015, 2016. Mainly started with soccer and hockey, and of course branched off to football as well too. Absolutely love NHL. You can't live north of the border and not like NHL. And even though I support a team south of the border in the Buffalo Sabres, hey, we're back in the playoffs, Tara. So I'm excited. I do puck time every single day on WagerTalk TV, 11 a.m. Eastern time with my co-host Andrew McInnis, who is look at the smile on his face. He's a Montreal Canadiens fan. He's living the life right now.
Yeah, all three of our teams are in the playoffs, so that's pretty interesting. Andrew, for those that haven't seen you before, of course you've come on my YouTube channel a few times, but for people watching the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel that haven't heard about you, maybe introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, and I've had you on the pre-scout before. You've been on Wager Talk with us. So, yeah, great to have the three of us together. I obviously host Puck Time every day with Carmine. We do baseball as well. We do mostly NFL props and, of course, love the CFL in the summer. So, cannot wait. It was a very, very slow start to the season for me, full transparency, but couldn't have picked a better time to heat up going into the playoffs on a really, really good note. And tip my cap to everybody with how hardcore they were going with the end of the season, because with lineups and that kind of stuff, you could make some money the last few days. But man, it feels good to have the playoffs. I'm really excited for all these games to matter. Every single game means something, and it's the best time of the year for sports right now.
I could not agree more. And with that, we're going to jump right into it. We've got 8 different series to break down, of course, and we're going to start with Boston and Buffalo. And right off the bat, when I look at this series, I did not, if you asked me before the season started, I would have said that both of these teams missed the playoffs. Boston I had as one of the teams going down, taking a big step down this year. The Buffalo Sabres, of course, we all know their playoff drought. And I am sure Sabres fans are really happy that we can stop talking about it now because they're in the playoffs. So we can stop talking about those years out of the playoffs. I can't wait to see this matchup. For those that don't know, I already locked in futures for the Buffalo Sabres to win the Eastern Conference, as well to win the Stanley Cup. I'm all in on the Sabres team. Changing the general manager, I did not see a complete and utter turnaround in the franchise by doing that. It's not like they made 20 different trades and completely changed the team. Basically stayed the same, changed general managers, and this Buffalo Sabres team has looked like the team that we've expected year after year with all these young, talented draft picks they've added. We've been waiting for Buffalo to be good and take that step, and they finally did it, and just a dominant second half of the season. So I like the Sabres, of course, to win the series, minus 175. There's really no value. So I would look at them to win the series by 2 or more games, minus 1.5 in the series, plus 115. Or Buffalo to win the series 4-2, which I'm seeing plus 400. I don't think this is going to be a complete easy series for Buffalo. Boston actually went 3-1 against the Sabres this year. 2 really close overtime games. 3 of the last 6 have gone to overtime between these two. Don't be surprised to see close series. But I like the Sabres to get it done. much more consistent heading into the postseason. Andrew, what do you think here? Boston and Buffalo.
Well, I hate to drop the mitts at center ice only 5 minutes into the show here. And Carmine was saying such great things about my Canadians the past few weeks to me. But look, we've seen it so many times in hockey where a great regular season turns into a mess in the first round. And I do think the Sabres move on, but I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. And I think that, when you look at teams that earn home ice advantage can be such a great thing. But the crowds in Buffalo are going to be phenomenal. I mean, sometimes a crowd can almost be so much that maybe it's more pressure at home than it will be on the road, if that can make sense. I know the last change is so crucial. You mentioned you fire the GM, you turn into a brand new team. Every single year, there's a different team where all of us in the hockey world think, I wish I bet more on this team. I wish I had more action every night on this team. And that is how I felt about the Buffalo Sabres this season. Whenever you thought they might lose or snap out of it, they just kept winning. But I'll tell you what, this series in particular, I think there's value on the Bruins. Look, do I think the Bruins are going to win the series? No. But I think on a game-to-game basis, I think this series leaves Buffalo with a 1-1 split. And I think this might be one of the few series where you could look at the home team losing the first game and then winning the second game. So if you can get a +1.5 or +2.5 parlay with the series, something like that, find somebody else to pair it with. Carm, I'm not coming after your Sabres, but I think people are just counting out this Bruins team, man. I think this Bruins team is being written off a little bit. Terry, I respect how you got those futures in, because hats off to you. You sniped some great prices when people were sleeping on this Sabres team. I just think that this is not going to be a walk in the park like some people. You look at Big Zadorov, you look at Charlie McAvoy, Tanner Jeannot. Some of these guys are mean wrecking machines, and I'm a big fan of experience. And when it comes to experience, not a lot of players in the Buffalo Sabres have that experience.
That's true. Carm?
Yeah, Andrew and I are going to go mano a mano on this one, unfortunately. But it's and I'm putting my bias aside on this one. Listen, the Sabres just, to me, resemble going back to like 2018 with the St. Louis Blues, a team that in and around Christmas time, December, they were like last place in the Western Conference and almost overall in the NHL. And then just put together in the new year, a great run, called up Jordan Binnington from their minor league affiliate. I think they won like 12 or 13 games in a row. And they were playing playoff hockey where when during the regular season when other teams weren't, and the Blues just carried that right into the right in and through the playoffs, and ironically beat this Boston team in the finals, winning Game 7 after losing Game 6 at home. And everyone thought, well, the series is over now. The Bruins return home, win it on home ice, lift the cup. I bet the Blues in that one, and I had futures on the Blues throughout that great run before they got to the playoffs. So this is a Sabres team that is playing much differently. I think the managerial change, the GM change, did nothing but reaffirm, you know what I mean, and listening to what some of the sound bites were that came out afterwards when the Sabres started to put together a good run, was that I think to a man, the players in that dressing room thought, new general manager, some of us are going to get moved. Some of us are going to go down, be healthy scratches. He did nothing. He literally did nothing to that team for the start of that run. And I think the coaching staff and the players to a whole said, he's putting it on us guys in this dressing room, 25, 27 of us, to go out there and win games. And they win on a run. It was still the previous GM's team. He built that team, but the new guy comes in, shows him a vote of confidence, and then makes some additions at the trade deadline, picking guys up like Carrick. And it's just a Sabres team that is playing extremely well. As a Sabres fan, Terry, I keep waiting for that second shoe to fall where it's like, fooled you. Here you go. You're out in 4. But they haven't done it. It seems like their losing streaks come after they've done something big, which is like clinching a playoff spot. They lose a couple games in a row. They look horrible. And then they get right back on it and win 7 straight. And then clinch the Atlantic Division and play a bad one. This is how it's been with the Sabres. But in meaningful games, this team's played well. And the Bruins haven't played well down the stretch. As far as I'm concerned, their final couple of wins came against non-playoff teams in New Jersey and Columbus. Columbus completely folded up their tent. And we saw Rick Bowness saying, our players don't care about losses. They don't take it to heart. And he's going to change that team around. But the Bruins, when they win the last couple of games, they were against teams that were effectively done as far as the playoffs go. It's the previous 5 or 6 games where they had to play some playoff teams, and they lost 5 or 6 in a row. So do I think the Sabres are going to sweep them? No, but I believe this is going to be a 4-1 or 4-2 series for the Sabres. I would think the Sabres win both games at home, win 1 of 2 in Boston, and then come home and take care of the series on home ice. So that's where Andrew and I are going to go mano a mano.
Yeah, I agree. Boston is so much better at home. They're so much better at home. They really struggle on the road. So yeah, I agree with you, Carm. I think that Buffalo takes care of business. Boston wins a game at home. Yeah. Maybe they win 2 at home.
And Jeremy Swayman, what can Swayman do, guys?
No, well, Andrew, this is the thing, and sorry to jump in and cut you guys off, but I had one more thought that I wanted to mention. But when we're talking about goaltending, the goaltending matchup you have to think is close to even. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is playing lights out. I know Alex Lang was dealing with an issue, so it's going to be Ukko that starts at the very least the first 2 games, and then if the Sabres get into trouble, they hopefully Line is back by then. We saw Line in the playoffs. What was it last season, I think, or the previous season, 2 seasons ago, where it was Bobrovsky who was injured, and Lions started the playoff series for them. Swayman, very good for the Bruins. So I think that they're even there as far as goaltending goes. Maybe a slight edge to one of them. Defensively, I think the Sabres have done much better over the last little while. Normally, and this is the point I wanted to make, Terry, is that we always think, and it's always been my mindset until I started looking at the numbers, a visiting team in a series winning game 1 is so important to them. And we seem to think that it happens a lot. 3 years ago, 5 of the 8 series were won by the visiting team game 1. Last 2 seasons ago, only 2 teams. Last season, home teams went 7-1 in game 1 of the NHL playoffs. So we're seeing that home cooking work a little bit better, and hopefully it does for the Sabres.
That's awesome. You just answered this question for a financially freed focus. So basically about the home ice. Robert, we'll talk about this series coming on later. Carm needs no introduction, of course, but I thought I'd give him one. Financially free focus, watching us for the first time. Awesome. Let's go. Inexperience, the dance will show. Great point, Andrew. And yeah, that's a huge thing. We have not the Buffalo Sabres. I don't know if they have. I'm sure they have a couple guys that have a little bit of playoff experience. Probably like Logan Stanley or guys like that, but most of their core. Alex Tuck, yeah. So most guys don't have a lot of playoff experience.
Yeah.
And thanks, Hal. Much appreciated. But we're going to keep the show going because we've got 7 more series to go. The Ottawa Senators and the Carolina Hurricanes. Andrew, I'm going to start first with you in this one. The Sens plus 145 dogs. Carolina big favorites. What did you think about how Ottawa made the playoffs? Because it didn't look like they were going to make it for a long time, but they made it. What do you think about this series?
Yeah, I'll keep this one short. A lot of the times I don't usually play these type of wagers. You see people bet these in the NBA, but I'm going to go plus 120. Canes win game 1 and win the series. Carm just gave us those great numbers about teams that are home teams, favorited. We've heard some great stats. Ralph Michaels always handing us great stats about favorites and home. And this is a team that they knew they were going to win their division. The next step was winning the East. And Carolina, one thing I mentioned, they didn't do anything at the deadline. They picked up Nicolas Deslauriers. Sometimes, guys, less is more. You don't always need to pick up a bunch of guys. Carolina ready to roll here. I was buying into the hype regarding Ottawa, But I think, guys, this was probably the worst team they could have drawn. Maybe, Buffalo or Boston or Montreal or Tampa would have been better. I just don't think that they match up well against Carolina. So plus 120, win game one, win the series. It avoids me laying chalk, and I like that plus price.
Interesting.
All right.
Carm, what do you think about this series?
Andrew, I'm not going to drop the gloves with him on this one because I had three things written down for three different series. And Andrew just plucked one of them right there, which is and you can get these ones at DK, which is the win game one, win the series, and you get a much better price. And we'll discuss the other two when we get there. The one thing that always worries me, Terry, about the Canes is with Brind'Amour, as everyone says, Brind'Amour is not the coach to get him to the promised land. He gets them to the conference finals and they lose. The scoring dries up. Maybe the addition of Nicholas Ehlers helps this team this year. He had 26 goals for them, 10 of them on the power play. So that power play. And if Ottawa tries to turn this into a physical series in game one and get a couple guys in that box, Carolina is going to make them pay for it. It's not a great series. I think from a goal scoring perspective, we're not going to see a lot of high scoring goals in this one, but how would you like to be the Canes that had a great season, win the Eastern Conference, and they say to you, hey, congrats, you guys are getting the Ottawa Senators, a team that is can be very good on their best of nights. I just haven't seen the consistency from them that I think that the Canes have shown throughout the season. Even when the Canes lose 2-3 in a row, they roll off 5 or 6. This is a team that bounces back very well. So I agree with Andrew. Canes win game one, win the series.
Interesting. When I look at this series, Ottawa 21-6-4 down the stretch. This team was not going to make the playoffs, but they gave it everything they had. They got themselves here. 6-1-1 in their last 8, heading into the playoffs. For me here, it's goaltending. I think goaltending is going to determine this series. Linus Ullmark, 5-1 in April, 1.83 goals against average, .926 save percentage. If he can do that here in this series, bring that type of goaltending, then the Sens can win this series. Brandon Bussi, if he starts, I'm assuming he's starting, but of course Carolina has 3 goalies in this series, so we would never know who's going to be in net, I guess. The experience factor, of course, if Frederik Andersen was to start, he would have the experience factor, but I have concerns about how Bussi's going to do in the playoffs. I obviously want to see how he does. For me, I think the 2 props that I would look at here in this series would be either the series to go 6 games plus 205 or the series to go 7 games plus 215. I think that you guys are right. I think Carolina probably does win, but I think this is going to be a close series. I don't think this is done in 4 or 5 games. So I would probably split my bet in series to go 6 games and series to go 7 games, plus 205, plus 215. You're profitable if you cash one of those 2. So
yeah,
that's the way I would look at the series.
I'm not a goalie saves prop guy. I know Andrew loves these ones, but this is for both you guys if you do play them. Andrew, okay, so these are the shots on goal allowed. These 2 teams have the lowest shots on goal allowed per game at 23.93 and 24.4. Carolina at 23.93 and Ottawa at 24.4. Not a lot of shots on goal allowed in those ones. So if your goalies are playing well, it stands to reason there's not going to be a lot of scoring. We're probably going to see a 5 in the series, if anything, or a heavily juiced 5.5 to the under. But would you look at any goalie save props?
I don't touch those. For me, goal scoring, point, assists, I stick with the main. I'm a big player props guy for sure. But I don't really go with the goalie saves props.
Andrew's giving them out at the near the end of the regular season. Andrew's giving them out on puck time like candies to kids on Halloween. They were just winners. They kept coming to the house, ringing the doorbell. We need another one, sir. So, Andrew, are you going to be putting those ones out?
Well, I think it's a good point by you, Carm. Like a lot of times people love to bet overs and everything, right? Like over saves, over points, over whatever goals. But I think it's a good point that Ottawa's probably going to have a high shooting percentage. the chances they get, they better score, because to your point, Carolina doesn't really give up much. So under on saves could be a good bet there for Carolina. But the only worry is, to Terry's point, is you never really know what you're going to get. It's the box of chocolates theory with the Hurricanes goaltending, right? Like, they thought Brandon Busty was the answer and he fell off. Freddie Anderson, we've seen it in the past. He's not the answer. Like, this Hurricanes team is built to go on a run. The only team that can get in their way is themselves.
What they need to do is go and trade for Shesterkin in the offseason. Now, I know the Rangers likely wouldn't want to trade him to Carolina, but I think that's what, if Carolina had that stud goalie, I think this team would be unstoppable.
I say that about the Edmonton Oilers every season. It's so heartbreaking. It really is.
They don't care about goaltending, but we'll talk about them. Hoping Andrew and Carm do CFL. I know Andrew does.
I'll be doing some CFL for sure. Carm is good for 3 or 4 plays this summer.
Yeah, that's it. That's about it. I rely on my CFL from Andrew. I just message him. I'm like, give me a winner, and he does. So it is one thing not to turn this into too much of a promo-y kind of thing, but if you like football, I know NFL is the big thing in college football, but the CFL kicks off in a couple short months, I think, Andrew, and Andrew always does well with CFL.
Yeah, appreciate it. And sure, Terry does it as well, so it'll be great.
Yeah.
There you go.
Colsey agrees about the shots. They don't allow a lot of shots, a lot of unders. Yeah, both. If we get goaltending, I think we can get a lot.
I think so. I think so. If you're Ottawa, how do you win the series? Is it by getting into high-scoring games, or just strangling the Canes in the neutral zone? That's the question. I would say I would go with strangling the Canes in a neutral zone, and not giving them a lot of scoring opportunities. Win the low-scoring games, 3-2.
For sure. GSF watches my channel every day. He watches you guys almost every day. All three of us almost every day. Best luck to everyone except the Wild. Go Stars. We'll be getting there. Jackson Blake is going to be an X factor. I agree. Watch out for Jackson Blake. He's got a lot of value prop-wise. The Sens have the 29th ranked penalty kill. Special teams matter a ton in the playoffs. That's true. Thumbs up to CFL. Canes in 5. I think it goes 6 or 7. What about you guys? Do you think it can get to 6, or do you think the Canes take care of business?
I always think a team like the Canes, for me, I could see that, because a team like the Canes, I think in NHL series, playoff series of the past, it's like they win their games at home, and then they struggle to win on the road. And this just seems like one where they win the first 2 games at home, go to Ottawa, win 1 of 2, and then come home and close it. It seems like the square way of looking at it. It really does. And Andrew, you can call me out on it. It does seem square to think Canes in 5, but it's just
no, I get it.
I think one that fits.
If Ottawa has a puncher's chance, they have to win 1 game on the road, because if not, Carolina's going to win one in Ottawa, and then it could be the gentleman's sweep, as we always talk about, right? So if Ottawa wants to avoid the gentleman's sweep, they better win a game in Carolina, because I think that Carolina is definitely going to win a game in Ottawa. So you got to make sure you can split. You always say a series doesn't start until a team loses at home, but I think Carolina will probably end up at least winning 1 game in Ottawa.
Awesome. Robert says Brendan Moore is not going to take the Sens lightly. I can agree with that. Canes don't have to worry about the Cats. Couldn't handle the physical play, so Sens could bully them. True. And whatever you do, Carm, keep fading my pens. It's worked out so well for us. Love you guys. There we go.
Man, I knew Lowe's kid couldn't stay out of a chat. God bless him. Hey, listen, hopefully a healthy Sid, Gino Malkin, Letang, and Rust, and they make some kind of a run. That's going to be a fantastic playoff series. And the NHL did the best thing they could possibly do. They made it the featured game on Saturday night. So it is great. I'd rather watch that one at 8 o'clock on Saturday, on tomorrow night, than I would Carolina and Ottawa. at 8:00. I'll tell you that much.
There we go. And one matchup we won't see on Saturday night is the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay. I know Andrew has thoughts on this, but on the not playing on Saturday. And I was hoping for some Saturday games for this series. But Montreal plus 205 to win the series. Tampa Bay minus 250. Carm, we're going to start with you first in this one. What do you think about these odds that we have here in the series?
I am calling the upset in this one. I think the Montreal Canadiens win this series. I get it. Listen, it seems like every Stanley Cup has to have one of these a no tax state in it. But listen, as well as Tampa Bay played this season, this has been a phenomenal season for the Montreal Canadiens. They get a game into overtime. You just auto click on Cole Caulfield to score the game winner. Seems like he seems to do it in OT, and they're playing great. Marty St. Louis has done an absolutely fantastic job with this team. This team believes that they can win the series, and that is half the battle right there. You put the team on the ice, and it's one of those ones where even if they were to lose game one, I think they could easily come back and win game two. We sort of saw that in the Toronto and Tampa Bay. Was it last season where Tampa put a 7 spot on the Leafs in game one, and then the Leafs returned the favor and put a 7 spot on Tampa in game two? So it is one of those similar ones. I think this is one of those years, and this is probably the of all the series, this is the one in which I think we definitely have a big priced live dog here. The Montreal Canadiens, stay out of the box. Don't give Tampa the power plays, even though it's not as strong as it was in years past, and don't get intimidated and win the game. So goaltending, Vasilevsky's Vasilevsky, but I think he is getting close to the end of the Vasilevsky line. He is not prime time of Vas, and Montreal has got a very good goalie, a very good rookie goalie, and you just never know in the playoffs. I
agree. I am actually releasing 2 plays to clients in this series. I'm going Montreal plus 1.5 at minus 105. And Montreal to win the series at plus 205. Why I'm splitting it is because I could easily see this series going 7 games. And when you go to game 7, anything can happen in game 7. So Tampa could definitely come out here and win this in game 7. So kind of to protect myself there, I'm splitting the bet plus 1.5 in the series, and then Montreal to win the series. If Montreal, of course, wins the series in 6 games, then you cash both. You don't have to worry about the plus 1.5. Just a little bit of extra insurance. I think this is disrespectful. I get it. Tampa Bay, this is another experience factor. Tampa Bay has that experience in their lineup. Montreal, not as much playoff experience. But I think the youth and the energy is going to overpower the experience in this matchup. And I think Habs get the job done.
Yeah, Terry, I have one question for you. And Andrew, you can jump in. And I don't want to hijack the chat. So the Canadiens came extremely close to taking the number 2 seed in the Atlantic and having home ice. What is this price if Montreal's the home team? It is definitely nowhere near this price. Tampa's still favored, maybe minus 140, minus 150, Montreal plus 120. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not sure, odds makers, how they would, because I didn't expect this to be priced like this at all. So I'm not sure what they would price it if it was in Montreal. I think they just, of course, home ice is an advantage, but Montreal was 24-9-8 on the road. They're not a bad road team at all.
They had a better power play on the road and a better record on the road. Everything was better on the road for this team. The only thing is they're not going to get the last change, which sucks for them. But this comment here from Costa, I like this one here. I mean, youth plus Galley. Look, the most passionate thing I'll say as a Canadiens fan is I'll be so upset if we see game 1, no Galley in the lineup, and it looks like he's not going to be in there. He better be in there for game 3 at home. You're either a singer or you're a dancer, and dancers are where the playoffs belong, and Gally is a dancer. And that's the old school saying, but you got to have tough guys and guys that are willing to go to war. And I look at guys like Bull Duke. I look at guys like Texier. I look at guys like Valeno and Doc. You have to have that dog in you, because when you look at it, if we take away the three best players on both these teams, guys, let's look at Kucherov, Point, and Gensel, Slavkovsky, Suzuki, and Caulfield. Let's remove those guys from the series, and who wins, right? How much of a factor can Demidov be? How much of a factor can Newhook be? How much of a factor can Josh Anderson be? Lane Hudson be? That's the question. Is Kucherov going to beat us by himself? Because if he goes crazy, they're going to win. But, missing Noah Dobson is a huge blow. I know this might sound funny, but I think what's going to happen the first couple of games here, we're going to get big overreactions from people, right? If the first game goes way over the total, I promise you guys I'm betting the under the next game. There's no way we can see an under with these two teams because the first game finishes 5-3, and then game 2 will finish 3-1. The playoffs are all about overreactions, game-to-game adjustments. But I think the winner of this series, guys, and I can't believe I'm saying this, and Carm even knows, as much as I'm a fan, I'm cautiously optimistic. But the way I look at this right now, the winner of this series very well could go to the Stanley Cup final, and it could be the Canadiens. But look, I'm not scared of the Penguins or the Flyers. The Buffalo Sabres, an unbelievably hot team. If they get the job done, they could go to the Cup finals too. But when you look at, the Battle of Pennsylvania, the Hurricanes seem to choke every year in the conference final. To me, the winner of this series very well could go all the way to the Cup finals. So when it comes to the series, I'm going to bet this series goes 6 games. And it's kind of like a self-hedge, because if it goes 7, I think my Habs lose. So, but I'll tell you what, guys, I think this one's going to be good. I'll take the plus 1.5 games for the Habs. But I do very well believe that this series is going to be closer than people think. This is going to be one of those overreaction series. If the Habs win game 1, doesn't mean they're going to win the game in 5 or 6 or the series. If the Lightning win 5-1 in game 1, doesn't mean it's going to be a dominant win for them by any means. So Los Kid says, saying it with my chest, I have to. I got to be confident. Terry, I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Yeah, no problem. We'll quickly we'll go through some, not all the comments, but Habs Bolts to go 7. I like it. Obviously, I'm on the plus 1.5 there, so I like that. Carm, we agree, right? Plus 200 is a little disrespectful. The odds are disrespectful.
I think it is. I think the sheer fact that the price would be completely different with the venue switch, and obviously it would have to be different. You wouldn't make the Montreal Canadiens plus 200 at home with home ice advantage, but I just think plus 200's just way too high for Montreal. And regardless of how this series ends up, it's just what's happening in Montreal is positive for that franchise, who have struggled over the years, and they have a bright future ahead. So just keep building that team, and they can become one of the Montreal powerhouses of years past, or the last Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup back in '93. So
I think we're going to see a change of the guard. I think this could be where we see a change in the guard, because Tampa's been there for so long now. But I think
and I get it, and I think you're right. I think this could very well be like Tampa's last, the ride into the sunset type of thing, where last ride with some of these guys. There's some great players on that team, obviously Hedman and Kucherov, and obviously Vasilevsky. But at some point, they're going to have to start turning over and bringing in some youth and change in that team. They'll still be competitive, but they won't be considered a Stanley Cup contender at the beginning of the season. So this could be their last ride. We'll see. Hopefully, I'm not upsetting any fans of the Lightning at the moment. If I am, well, it's what I do, Terry. I seem to upset people at times, but I'll wear the result on my sleeve each and every time. If I'm wrong, I let people know I was wrong. So
there we go. Costa saying about what's up with no Habs game on a Saturday. The Habs, Cole Caulfield, Saturday nights. He's known as Mr. Saturday Night for what he does on Saturday. So I don't know. It's a scheduling thing. There's no conspiracy to try to give Tampa an advantage or anything like that. Some Habs fans might think that way, but that's not it.
I blame Gary.
Caulfield did score.
I blame Gary Bettman for everything. So
yeah, well, that's who's in charge. So he deserves it. Caulfield did score his 50th against Vasi. There we go. And that's basically it. Minnesota versus Montreal final. That's what EA Sports predicts to happen. So I'm okay with that. I look at the Ottawa Carolina, like the series. Whichever wins goes to the Final Four. All right. Awesome.
All right. Okay. I love the predictions. Good one, Kelly. Kostas, thanks for the comments. Los Kid, I know you love your Penguins, buddy, but I love the comments, guys. Keep coming in. And then after, if you're watching this later on, make sure you subscribe to both of the channels. Give everyone a follow on the X as well, too, on all the socials as well, too. And drop a comment in the comment section and let us know who you love to win the Stanley Cup or who you like to win the Stanley Cup or represent each conference.
For sure. And speaking about the Penguins, they're up next. Philadelphia plus 140, Pittsburgh minus 170 here in this series. And I'll start off with this one because I don't have a lot to say about this series. This is the one that I'm having trouble with when I'm looking at the series, trying to come up with some futures for you guys that you could bet. This one is just tough for me. I could see Pittsburgh winning in 5 games and taking care of business, but I could see this going 7 and Philly winning. Philly was another team really hot down the stretch. I could see them get some goaltending with Vladar and winning this game in 5. So I could see this game, either team winning in 5. I could see either team winning in 7. I'm just not a lot of help for this series, but luckily you guys are here to help. Andrew, we'll start with you next here. Philly, Pittsburgh, what do you think?
Well, I'm just going to say this. If you're a fan of the correlated parlays, this is about as easy as it gets. If you like Pittsburgh to win any of these games, you bet the overs. If you like Philly to win any of these games, you bet the unders. I was listening to a Philadelphia broadcast the other day, and even the broadcaster themselves for the home team said, this team does just about enough to get it done, and that's about it. They don't score a ton of goals. The broadcaster himself pretty much said this team is boring. You know, he pretty much told us the Flyers got into the playoffs because of the way they play. And you think about Christian Dvorak, Sean Couturier, and down the middle, this team is built like a defensive playoff team. The only thing is, when you look at Matvei Michkov, you look at Trevor Zegras, those guys have no experience. So, I mean, if you want to talk about experience versus inexperience or young versus old, this might be the playoff series for it. But Terry, I know you're a player props guy, so if you don't have much in the series, I know you're going to have money to be made in the postseason when it comes to player props for this one. Because when you look at Ben Kindle or Anthony Mantha or Igor Chinikov, like some of these guys, they're going to be fantastic for the shot props, for the point props, and things like that. But and Carm, over to you with this. But you talk about save props, and as I mentioned, it's more fun to bet goalie saves overs than unders. I think Dan Vladar is going to have to turn into Dominic Hasek if there's going to be any hope in the world for Philadelphia. So we might get some value on save prop overs for Dan Vladar because that guy's going to be facing more rubber than a college dorm room, and I expect a lot for him. And he's going to have to really perform.
Yeah, he was extremely solid down the stretch for them. So he's going to. The playoffs are a different beast. And this is why sometimes it's good to have 2 very good goalies because, I never say pull a guy if you got shelled in game 1. You got to give him the start in game 2. But if he struggles in game 2, you got to get him out of there. This is going to be a good series. I could see it going 7 games. I would love this series to go 7 games because it gives us more to talk about, gives us more plays to try and break down. The plus 1.5 on Philadelphia, as far as games go, is minus 145. It's a fair price in a series in which, these two teams split the season series, both going 1-1 on the road. Two of the games went to OT. So these teams are familiar with each other. They're heated rivals. It's the Battle of Pennsylvania, and one that we haven't seen since 2018, I think, was the last Battle of Pennsylvania. I'm looking forward to this one. Is Philly a live dog in the series? Well, plus 140, I don't think equates into a live dog. I think they're a dog, of course, at plus 140 to win the series. Do they have a shot? They'll go as far as their goaltending and their coaching can take them. So Talk has done a stellar job. Can you imagine in an alternate reality, Philadelphia making it to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Vegas Golden Knights, and it's John Tortorella versus Rick Tocchet? So how interesting would that be?
Maybe we could see a coach brawl. Brawl there in that one. But,
Torts.
We'll move on along to the Western Conference now, and just perfect segue here into a question here. Are you guys believers of the President's Trophy curse? I 100% believe in the President's Trophy curse. I don't think it's going to hit them in this round, though. But Carm, what do you think? President's Trophy curse, do you believe in it?
It's hard not to, I get it. The NHL is competitive. Once you get to the playoffs, you've gotten rid of 15 or 16 teams that don't belong there. And much like you said, I don't expect it to happen in the first round. So now you're down to 8. But, you have to go back to the 2012-2013 season where the Chicago Blackhawks are the last winners of the President's Trophy. We've had some teams like the Boston Bruins of a few years back, 130-something points, unbelievable season, win the President's Trophy, and then the Florida Panthers send them on their way. So it does happen. The Winnipeg Jets, I think, as well, too. So I had a stat somewhere up here. You look at it, 2023, Bruins losing round 1. 2022, Florida Panthers swept in round 2. 2020, the Bruins lost in round 2. And in 2019, the Tampa Bay Lightning were swept in round 1 after winning the President's Trophy. So very good teams that suffered an early exit. Andrew?
Yeah, very good team. Hey, are you saying, so you think that this could be an opportunity for an upset or just a close one?
No, I agree with Terry. If it's going to happen, I don't think it's going to be the LA Kings.
I think it's the next round. We're just talking the question. Do you believe in the curse in general?
Well, I think when it comes to the curse, it comes to the first time a team is good. Like the Avalanche have been good for a while now. If it would be different, if all of a sudden, I know this is going to sound funny, I'm making a joke saying this, but if the Buffalo Sabres this year won the President's Trophy, it could have been a real thing because it's it hasn't happened, since Carmine had hair. But if you look at it right now, it's a little bit different because this team has been good for years, right? So I don't really believe in it that much. I do think it's funny that we're not seeing Colorado or LA play against Edmonton. It's like a new opponent for them. It's like, hey, we don't have to play Edmonton, but now we have to play Colorado. So, look, this to me is gentleman's sweep because you look at it, the Kings only won less than 20 games in regulation all season. They were overtime merchants. I mean, if you're a fan of the 3-point system, LA shouldn't even be in the playoffs because they probably don't even deserve to be here. But look, they've got center depth. They've got decent goaltending, but I just think Colorado's going to be way too strong. I mean, it's funny because I always talk about how competitive the NHL is, but when you really look at it, the favorites have done well the last handful of years. Look at the Florida Panthers. Now you got Tampa and Colorado being the favorites. Have a tough time not seeing Colorado kind of cruise here. And let's also keep in mind, Minnesota and Dallas are going to beat the crap out of each other in round 1 and then have to play probably a well-rested Colorado team. So rest is very important. Colorado wants to get this done as fast as they can.
So, Andrew, to your point, and Terry, the one that minus 450, I think anyone, doesn't matter how confident you are in Colorado, you have to be insane to lay that price. Now, would you take a different variation of that? The the Andrew McInnis win game one and win the series is only minus 175. And I say that it's a lot of VIG, but only 175. If you think they're going to win this series, they're likely getting off to a good start. The Kings are not playing the Oilers, who struggled in the first rounds the last couple of years. They're playing the Colorado Avalanche, who have a chip on their shoulders.
You could go that way. What I wrote down here for this series, probably not going to get to the window, but 4-0 for Colorado's plus 400, or 4-1 in the series is plus 270. I don't really see the Kings making this much of a series. Like I said, I do believe in the President's Trophy curse. I don't think the Avalanche win the Stanley Cup. I'm not super confident, but I'm confident saying that I think that the Avalanche don't win the Cup, but I do think they, of course, win this round. I don't see the Kings. Now, the Kings, Kopitar's last season, of course, they would love to go on this run, but I can't make a case for the LA Kings. Colorado dominated them, winning 6 of the last 7 meetings. All 6 of those games they won by multiple goals. Colorado scored at least 4 goals in 9 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams. This is not a great opponent for the Kings. So I think best way to go is to split your bet. Colorado to win the series 4-0 plus 400, or to win the series 4-1 plus 270. I'd be shocked to see this go 6 games. Carm, what do you think?
I'm fully there with you. It's always easy for any of us to say this team isn't going to win the Cup, but at least we're backing it up with information. And as you said, this should be based on those bets, should be a series in which they roll the Kings. But it gets so much tougher in the next round, facing either Dallas or Minnesota. 2 teams that can score, something that the Kings don't do a lot of, that can play defense, something that the Kings only did sporadically throughout the season, and 2 teams that have goalies and good backup goalies. So it gets that much tougher for the Avs. I remember, was it a couple of years back where people said there is no way the Seattle Kraken are going to beat the Colorado Avalanche. And then we saw what happened in that series. So never say never.
Yeah. Hey, you just need to make the playoffs. We've seen big upsets before. Maybe we'll see one here. And what do we think about this series? I'm going to go last because obviously I don't try to hide my fandom here. I'm pretty open and honest with who I cheer for. But that said, I'm looking at this from a handicapping perspective, not a fan perspective. Andrew, we'll start first with you with this one here. Wild Stars. What do you think about this series? The only series that's closely priced.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. It makes a little bit of a difference. Look, Terry, I don't want to. I want to keep working together after I say these things here, but I kind of get Maple Leaf vibes out of the Minnesota Wild. I mean, it's the state of hockey. Look, I think if they had the media members that the Maple Leafs players had, they'd be dealing with the same reasons the Marner camp and his family had to leave cities, because this is a team that makes the playoffs every year, but you got to do something once you get there. And unfortunately, their division was unbelievable, right? Colorado and Dallas. So it's tough for them. I think you got to have your big guns be your big guns. Like Kaprizov, you can't worry about that you're young. Boldy, you can't worry about that you're experienced. I mean, these guys are unbelievable. But I think the biggest additions they made, adding Michael McCarron and adding the Foligno brother. I mean, you got to be able to crash and bang and be physical. And if they can do that, they're going to win some low-scoring games. Jake Ottinger, he's another box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get with that guy. I mean, he didn't even play one game at the Olympics because Connor Hellebuck had an ultimate performance, but maybe he doesn't get the respect he deserves. But the problem is him and Pete DeBoer had that falling out last year because he ended up just crashing and burning when it came to the conference finals against Edmonton. So, I mean, to me, there's so many variables when it comes to this series, but I'm getting kind of Last Dance vibes when it comes to Dallas. And it's a lot of old guys, and it's going to be like the passing of the torch. If Minnesota ends up getting the job done here, it's going to be because they were able to get the job done, and their young guys were able to be better, I think, than some of these older guys than Dallas is. But long-winded, I'm going to go 7 games is what happens here, and Dallas gets the job done. I think it's going to be a respectable series, Terry, but I think that Minnesota, with the way this format works, I'm sure you've seen all the quotes. Like Billy Guerin was not happy about having to face Dallas. The crappy thing is that Minnesota could still leave this playoff series being happy with what they've done. Their power play, I think, can do some damage. I think they can get the job done. We know how great their PP can be. We know how great Kaprizov can be. If Quinn Hughes is milk and ice time, he's going to be fantastic. But I do give the edge to the more experienced Dallas Star. It's just a shame you guys had to play Dallas in the first round. It just really is.
Carm, what do you think here, Wild and Stars?
I almost feel bad saying that stuff.
No. Hey, everybody, if you look, pretty much everybody likes Dallas in the series.
Yeah.
Because Dallas has the playoff experience. You look at like what you said about the Leafs and the Wild. It's completely fair to compare the two because the Wild have not done it. But I'll give my thoughts here on why I think it's going to be different this year. Carm, what do you think here?
Yeah, this is one in which betting the series now makes no sense to me, just because I don't think there's any value in it unless you absolutely love the Dallas Stars and you take them at 120. You're not getting enough on Minnesota, and I think Minnesota can win this series. I think Minnesota has a very good chance. So Andrew and I are going to go mano a mano with this. It is how does Minnesota progress as this series goes on? Because I think they're going to win 1 of 2 games in Dallas. So I think if they lose game 1 in Dallas, I'm playing Minnesota to win game 2. I don't think home ice is going to matter as much. Maybe it does when we get to game 7 and that last change. But you look at Minnesota in the first round last year. They lose game 1 to the Vegas Golden Knights, and then they pretty much pelt them in game 2, 5-2. Come home, win game 3, 5-2. They lead that series, and then it just turned into Vegas just grinded them away, and there were like 3 low-scoring games. Vegas ran off 3 straight games. I think there were like 3-2 score lines or what have you. Minnesota, if they get any control in this series, they have to take it to the Dallas Stars, and if they do, they're going to win this series. So betting them right now, I wouldn't take. I'd pass on betting the series just because the price is too even. Even though I do like Minnesota, but I think that I'm going to get a better price if Minnesota loses game 1. I'm going to get some better plus money on Minnesota to win the series, and because I like them in game 2, that's why I would take the series. Wait to take the series in game 2, hoping that Minnesota loses game 1. That might not be what you want to hear as far as game 1 goes, Tara, but for the series, it should make you feel a little bit better.
Well, I don't have the exact stats here, but I can promise you guys I will be on Minnesota in game 3. Minnesota, for some reason, they don't win series in the playoffs, but they win game 3. I don't have the exact record here, but it's a dominant history in game 3. So I'll of course, get to that when game 3 comes. Okay, so I had written down here if Dallas to win game 1 and the Wild to win the series at plus 400. But my assumption was the Wild was going to do what they always do, is start the goaltender with more experience, the goaltender that has been the starter for most of the year. It doesn't matter who's playing well heading into the playoffs. It's always been the veteran that started. Well, that's not happening. So Philip Gustafsson entered the playoffs having given up 4 or more goals in 5 of his last 6 starts. He was just not playing well at all. And what I expected here was for him to start, him to get lit up, Dallas to win this game, and then the Wild to go to Wallstedt in game 2. But Wallstedt starting game 1. So John Hines is proving right off the bat that this is a different year, that they're looking at this series much differently. So as I said, Gustafsson 4 more goals in 5 of his last 6 games entering the playoffs, and was commenting that some of these games don't really matter that much. And that's kind of why he lost. I don't like comments like that at all. I don't. Wallstedt on the other side, the rookie, 2 or fewer goals in 9 of his last 10 starts. He 100% should be starting. And I'm just shocked that the Wild are starting Wallstedt. So my confidence wasn't too high in this with Philip Gustafsson starting, but with Wallstedt starting here in game 1, I think the Wild are finally going to get the job done this year. I think they're finally going to win a playoff series. So that's my thoughts. Of course, Hughes not feeling well, dealing with the sickness. They expect him to play. Heiskanen is expected to play for game 1. Roope Hintz is not expected to play for game 1, but they're hoping he can return sometime in the first round. So I think this is going to be an incredibly close series, but I think that the Wild get the job done just because they're looking at it in a different perspective. And the other difference maker is Quinn Hughes. Adding Quinn Hughes is a huge difference maker. And the Wild are healthy. Usually they're not healthy going into the playoffs. Usually Ek is hurt or Kaprizov's hurt or someone's hurt. But for once, they're kind of healthy. So those are my thoughts. We're not going to go to the comments because there's a ton of comments and we want to keep the show rolling. We don't want to roll over too much, but thank you to everyone commenting. Everyone that comments on the comments after the show is done, I will be getting back to every single one. So leave your comments on what you think here on the show. Anything else you guys want to say about the series before we go on to the next?
No, I think we pretty much covered that one. We still have a couple more Western Conference ones we need to bang out. So I say let's head to the next one.
There we go. Utah and Vegas. The Utah Mammoth making their first trip to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Vegas did not look good down the stretch, but they shockingly fired their coach with just a few games to go and looked like one of the hottest teams down the stretch. Carm, you're up first here. Vegas and Utah. What are your thoughts on this series?
You know, I'm wondering if Andrew and I are going to go mano this one. I get it. The whole Tortorella thing. He comes in. I thought it was a unique situation, and bringing him in when they had quite possibly the easiest portion of their schedule coming up, playing the Vancouver Canucks twice, the Calgary Flames once, mixing in the Edmonton Oilers, who were, I think, at the time in a somewhat of a bad scheduling spot. And before you knew it, Tortorella was 4-0, and he ends up going 7-0-1, one OT loss to the Seattle Kraken. But to me, it always comes back to the teams that you played. And, you're looking at it, they played Seattle, just bringing this up right now. They played Seattle twice, the Winnipeg Jets. They beat the Avalanche in OT. Lose to the Kraken, beat Vancouver, Edmonton. So 2 playoff teams in their final 8 games is who they met: the Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche. One was a bad scheduling spot. One was OT. I get it. You can only play the teams they put in front of you. I think it was a smart move to get Cassie out of there, get Tortorella in there. Utah's not a team that makes it into the playoffs and are just happy to be there. They are playing well. Their last couple of games, you can toss them out, I think, because I think there were meaningless games in which they knew that they had that number 1 wild card seed sewn up at that point. But look at that stretch that they had just prior to that. They won like 5 games and scored 29 goals across those 5 games, playing 3 playoff teams in that mix as well too. So they show up against good teams. They're going to have to show up against this biggest Golden Knights team, but they've beaten them before. And I don't think they're going into this. Who knows? Maybe in the dressing room, Terry, they relish the, hey, we're plus 155. We're dogs. We're not supposed to win this series. Matthew Barnaby talked about it last year on one of the shows that he did at Puck Time and said, the players are well aware of what the odds of the game are. Barnaby said, he goes, we know. He goes, so sometimes you put that underdog stamp on us, we know we're an underdog. We're going to go out there and prove you wrong. So with that said, Andrew, I'm calling the first round upset, the Utah Mammoth, to get it done. The curse of Mitch Marner.
You're a more brave man than me. Look, I've fired my shots. I've poked fun. This is my, it's not going to be a walk in the park series, but they're not going to win type of series. I think I could see. I'll tell you what. Like, I know this show is mostly about the playoffs as a whole. I think this is one of those series. The first couple games could see some goals, and then it ends up settling down. Carm's right, though. I mean, I've been ripping apart the Golden Knights because everyone's ready to call them so great, when I think that Terry, Carm, and myself could be behind the bench, and they'd still be 7-0-1 their last 8. You know, like, it doesn't. I don't care about what Tortorella has done during the regular season. All that matters is what Tortorella is going to do. Because guess what? Bruce Cassidy would have done the same thing they've done in the last 7 games. So Vegas Golden Knights fans, you should not be caring about Torts right now. It's be what he does moving forwards. But, you know, again, the young team, Utah, their goal was to be in the mix. You know, kind of reminds me of the Canadians last year. They didn't even have the goal, hey, win a round. Their goal was to be in the mix, make the playoffs. They did that. Now it's a matter of if they can get the job done. So you got Dylan Guenther, you've got Schmaltz, you've got Keller, you've got so many great players that can get the job done. I worry about the goaltending for Utah. That's the problem. Give me overs in this series. Carter Hart's been good, but Carter Hart's been good against bad teams for Vegas. So I think this series is going to be a lot of fun to watch. It'll be worth staying up late for on the East Coast here.
Yeah, all of us, because obviously me and Carm are in Ontario, so yeah, we have to deal with the late time changes as well for here in this.
And I'm an hour later than you guys.
Yeah, so
you're young, Andrew. Come on, man. You're out clubbing till like 3 in the.
Oh yeah.
When I look at this series, I think Vegas wins lower scoring games in the series. I think Utah wins if it's a higher scoring game. The Utah Mammoth came into this is coming into this series scoring at least 4 goals in 7 of 9 and 5 or more goals in 5 of 8. So the Utah Mammoth really have a strong offense heading into this series. It's just like you said, Andrew, the goaltending is starting to wear off a bit. So this one here, when it comes to futures, not one I'm pulling the trigger on. I want to see a couple games in this series before I can really get a good grasp, because I think this is a tough one. I think that Utah could definitely win this series. They could find a way to win the series, but the Vegas Golden Knights have that experience. So I could see them winning as well. But we'll go to the very last series, which is the Anaheim Ducks and the Edmonton Oilers. Anaheim plus 175 in the series. Edmonton minus 210. This one, I think, is going to be the best game for props. Andrew, you were talking about Pittsburgh and Philly, which I agree. I think is going to be a great game for player props in the series. But I think this one, this is, I think, going to be the highest scoring series of any of them. Just because the Anaheim Ducks, they have an offense, they can score, but we've really seen them struggle defensively and goaltending. The Edmonton Oilers, as Carm was mentioning earlier, how many years have people been talking about the Edmonton Oilers needing a goaltender? What, like 20 years? And they don't bother year after year after year. They think we've got McDavid, we've got Draisaitl, we're good. We don't need a goalie. Those guys will outscore any issues we have. In this series, yes, I think Edmonton's going to be able to outscore any issues that they have, but I think it's going to be tougher later on in the playoffs. But looking at this series, I do think Edmonton wins. The home team is 7-1 in the last 8 meetings between these two teams, so home ice really does matter. A lot of high-scoring games. For me here, Cutter Gauthier. To lead the series in shots on goal is plus 160. And Cutter Gauthier to score 3 or more goals in the series is plus 110. Those are the two plays I would look at here. I think Anaheim is going to need Gauthier to stand on his head if they're going to have any hope in the series. and he has been the guy offensively, especially when it comes to shots on goal. There were stretches where he was getting sometimes 7, 8, 9 shots on goal some games. So I think he is going to be the focus of the Anaheim offense shots-wise. So I like him to lead the series in shots on goal and to score 3 goals. 5+ goals is plus 650. So if you like this series to go 7, if you like Anaheim in this series, I would look at Gauthier to score 5 goals at plus 650. I think there's a ton of value in that one. Carm, Ducks, Oilers, what do you think here?
Yeah, a couple things. Another one of those Andrew, I'll call it the Andrew special. Oilers to win game 1 and win the series is even money, plus 100. I'd rather take that because I think the Oilers win this series. I think they lose at a worst 1 game in this series. So it could be like, as Andrew would say, the gentleman's handshake. So I would take the Oilers to minus 1.5 games, minus 105 as well too. This is one of those ones like, Anaheim going into that last game of the season, Anaheim, a game of such importance, and they did beat Nashville regardless. But Lucas Dostal was on the bench. It was Ville Husso in goal, and Dostal struggled down the stretch. We talk about the Oilers' goaltending issues as well too, each and every playoff, but they have made the Stanley Cup Finals the last 2 years in spite of it. And it was Skinner who had a good run, and then Picard came in. It's a little different now. It's going to be Ingram, and Picard was just called up from the minor league affiliate as well too. So he'll be part of that team. This is the Oilers series. I don't see them losing this one. And to use a cooking term, the best way to cook a duck is you need to get a little bit of hot oil in that pan, and that's what the Oilers have with Connor McDavid, as they call him, Connor McJesus.
There we go. Andrew, what do you think here? Oilers, Ducks.
Look, the Ducks are phonies. They're going to lose in round 1. I think it's going to be a lot sooner than people think. I was waiting to find out whoever the Ducks were going to play, and I look forward to somebody clipping this if the Oilers end up losing. But this is one of those series where the Ducks were first place in the division for a long time. Then they were second in the division for a long time. Then they're third in the division. I mean, this is a team that's got a lot of young guys, and I get it. My whole preface can't just be back the more experienced teams because young teams win all the time. But this is one of those, like, I'm telling you, I've been saying it, ask Carm. I've been saying it on Puck Time for probably 2 months now. You can still get 13-1 for the Oilers to win the Cup. You don't think the Avalanche and the Stars and the Wild are going to beat the crap out of each other, and we're getting 13-1 on the pillow fight division for the Oilers to go back to the Cup Finals for the 3rd straight year? Florida's gone. Nobody's scared of Carolina. Nobody's scared of anybody else in the East. I think Connor McDavid says Leon is healthy. Zach Hyman's healthy. We're going to get the job done. So minus 1.5 games for the Oilers. I like that one quite a bit.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All the good players on the Ducks
Andrew's fired up.
Yeah.
Hey, all the good players on the Anaheim Ducks are barely even legal drinking age. I mean, these guys, you need to have experience, I think, in the playoffs. It matters a ton.
Anaheim was such a... All right, go ahead, Carm.
So I was just going to say, it could be a little revenge. The Edmonton Oilers make it to the Stanley Cup. Across from them are the Buffalo Sabres, the 2 teams that finished first and second in the lottery draft. And the Sabres, of course, with the worst record, finished second. And the Edmonton Oilers selected Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
So payback. Revenge is a dish best served cold, my friend. Sorry, Terry. I had to jump in.
No, it's okay. All I was going to say is that the Ducks, such a streaky team. They had some times where they were so dominant in these hot winning streaks, and then they would go and lose 6-7 in a row. Then they would go on a big winning streak, and then they would lose a whole bunch in a row. So, like you said, Andrew, they were in first place in a really crappy division, looking like they could have won it, but let that lead slip away, and now they have to face the Oilers.
And how do they win games, Terry? They win them with their offense. You want to play pond hockey against the Oilers? This is like an absolute dream matchup for the Oilers. Unless Dostal has 50 saves a game, I feel like they're in tough.
Yeah, I think they're going to win the series. But I do think we're going to get some value on Anaheim props, though.
For sure.
Especially
we could see a game finish 7-5.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of high-scoring games. I totally agree. But that's it. We've broken down all 8 of the first-round series. But before we go, do a little promotion. Carm, anything you want to promote? Let people know where they can find you.
A couple NHL cards up. Soccer will be going up shortly. But NHL 2 plays up for Saturday game 1, and I have a 5% play up on Sunday in the NHL game 1, a spot that I really like. So WagerTalk still has that NHL rest of the season, or I should say the NHL playoff deal. And Andrew knows whether the coupon code works or not. Puck Time 50 for $50 off. I'm not sure if that still works, but if it does, and then you can find me at Carmine Bianco WT on the X, where I normally make fun of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but this time I'll just be talking NHL playoffs for the rest of the NHL season.
Gonna miss hearing you bash the Leafs. And Andrew, you like to bash the Leafs too. What are you guys gonna do? Andrew,
you know what I'm going to be doing, Terry? They're going to be all coming after me now. So that's the big difference. Is the Leafs' favorite team this year is going to be whoever the Montreal Canadiens are playing against, because they can't cheer on their own team. Look, same promo code for me. I'm going to have a big play on Saturday actually to kick off the postseason. So 7-0 run with 5% plays. We decided to start things off with a bang. So big play going on Saturday right away. I think over 35, 40 units last 30 days in the NHL last month. So it's been a great run. As I mentioned, no hiding it. Absolutely bad start for me to the NHL season, but rolling into the NHL playoffs on a fantastic note. We'll try and keep it going. And yeah, Carm mentioned it. That promo code is still alive. And I'm telling you, it doesn't really make sense to buy individual plays. It's now $175 for the full playoff package. Use that promo code PuckTime50. You get it down to $125. I mean, you're getting, you buy 1 or 2 5% plays, all of a sudden you're pretty much paying for the full package right there. So yeah. Puck Time 50 is the great deal, great promo code. And hey, great working with both you guys at the same time. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And for me, you can find me over on picksandparlays.net, pmp.buzz/TE. Of course, I'll have a lot of playoff picks, a lot of baseball picks up on the site as well. But that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think of the 8 series? Who do you like as a dog? Who's going to upset? What favorites are going to get the job done? And thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you guys on the next stream. Thanks, guys.